Your 20s, the golden decade for youth, but not necessarily everything else. When it comes to finances, mentality, spirituality, emotional maturity, just maturity in general, everything is still being developed. Depending on your journey, the decisions you've made, and the experiences that you've had, there could be a long ways to go when it comes to the peak of your development. Your 20s isn't the easiest. There's a reason why they say your 30s is the new 20s. If you do a lot of things right, your 30s could be really good to you. When you're in your 20s, you're learning things. You're trying things out because you can, because you're young. You have so much energy, but not enough time. Or you have so much time, but you're directionless and you don't know where to put your energy at. The point being, it is so important to start now. I'm here to give you a boost. I'm here to give you some advice, the things that I've learned that are setting me on track to be the best version of myself, to be able to live life relatively stress-free when it comes to money, when it comes to relationships and my health, the things that can make up the pillars to a happy life. So without further ado, if you're in your 20s or you're going to be in your 20s soon, these are some important things I've learned that I believe are absolutely crucial for you to know. So the way I'm going to split this video up, I'm going to have 4 categories. Each category is going to have about 2 to 3 pieces of advice attached. You can look at each category as an individual pillar to a fulfilling life. Those 4 pillars being finance, health, mindset, and habits. Starting off with finance, build your credit. It is so important for you to build your credit as soon as possible. For me, my mom gave me the head start that I needed. As soon as I turned 16 and I got my first job, and I started making money myself, she had the forethought of getting me a credit card so I could start building my credit as soon as possible. Because the longer you have your credit, the more that positively impacts your credit score. Back when I was 16, I didn't really care about this credit card. I just looked at it as free extra money that I can use anywhere and anytime. First of all, if you're looking into getting a credit card, they'll give you a certain amount that is like the maximum amount of the card, but that doesn't mean you have all that money and you can just spend all of it. If they give you $1,000, you don't have $1,000 unless it's in your bank account already. My point is, build your credit as soon as you can. If you can do it before your 20s, that's even better. Having a higher credit score gives you so much accessibility to a lot of other things you wouldn't have thought of. Banks will look at you favorably. They'll be willing to give you more money, more loans. What a credit score is basically a rating of how much a bank can trust you with their money. If you have a high credit score, you are highly favored. You're highly trustworthy to not just one bank, but every other bank that you will apply to. I know you may be thinking you don't really care about banks right now, like you have no affiliation with them. What is a bank gonna do for you now? That's such a big world adult application, you couldn't be farther away from that. That's how I was thinking too back when I was 16, all the way up until the past few years, honestly. The more I built my credit, the more I understood that this is a long game. You gotta think long term. You may not need a house now, you may not need a bank loan. Unless you hit it big or you win the lottery somehow, chances are you're not gonna have such a large amount of money at your disposal that is easily ready to be used. In that case, loans are gonna have to step in. You're gonna have to go to other sources for that money. Having good credit makes it easier for those expenses, makes it easier for you to get a house, makes it easier for you to get a new car, whatever big life decision happens to you in the future. So the sooner you start, the better. And it's super easy. All you gotta do is just get one credit card. There's actually a good handful of people that I know personally that have no credit card. They just use their debit card, and that doesn't give you any benefits. You're just taking money out of your account. Think of it this way. You can use a debit card, which is just subtracting out of what you're making. Or you can use a credit card, which is doing the same thing, except it's giving you benefits, depending on the credit card. There's a benefit of using that money, paying it on time, and then getting a good credit history. And then there's added benefits to that particular card as well. You can get cash back, you can get amenities, you can get all sorts of things. The best thing is, the more your credit develops, the more amenities that these banks will give you. And that's on top of you building a good credit score and just having access to desirable loans. So yes, build your credit, because think of yourself in 5 to 10 years when you want your own house or your own place. Some emergency happens, you need to pull a big loan for a large amount of money. Think of your future self and start building things now. 2, Learning to save and learning how to budget. Learning how to save and learning how to budget is kind of the same thing, two sides of the same coin. I like to separate the two. To me, learning how to budget is just understanding what you do with your money and taking out the bad habits. So when you set your own budget, you gotta look into the numbers. You gotta look into things you may be unwilling to look at. Before I started doing this, I was subconsciously really hesitant to look at my statements and understand my spending psychology. When I got over that, I began looking more into detail. I started realizing there was a lot of extra expenses that could be narrowed down. I canceled a lot of subscriptions that I didn't need to use anymore, or I lowered the amount of times I would go out because that was an absurd amount. Seriously, if you look into how many times you eat out and you added the whole amount together, it's probably going to be a shocking number. I probably cut out a few $100s by just lowering the amount of times I would eat out. That doesn't mean stop entirely, just definitely pace yourself and go when it's absolutely necessary. Like for very special events or treating yourself after a long week. But every day, you can definitely look at other ways to substitute that. But yes, that's how I look at how budgeting is. It's understanding where your money is going, how much you have, and making the necessary decisions of whether you need to cut on some categories or if they're okay. Learning how to do that is like the foundation of everything else past that. Then there's learning how to save, and to me that's like a half step above learning how to budget. Once you learn how to budget and you know how much money you have to play with, that's when you have the ability to start saving. You begin to learn how much you can pull out of this pool to start developing another pool of money. When you first start to budget and you're developing the habit of doing this, you may start small with saving. The better you get at budgeting and the better you get at learning your money and understanding what you do with it, the more that you have and the more you'll be willing to save extra. What used to be $5 to $10 every week is now turning into 50, turning into 75, turning into 100. There's two things I recommend when it comes to saving. There's where you should save. Instead of saving your money in a traditional savings account, you should look into a high yield savings account. Comparing the amount of interest you're getting from both accounts. And interest in this context is the extra money you get for parking your money in this account. So you're basically getting free money because you're using this account to park your money that you don't plan to use unless it's an emergency or it's just time to use it. The bigger the interest, the more money you're getting back. I don't really understand when people just don't care about looking into other options that give you higher interest. To me, it's obvious. Put your money in a place that gives you more money. That's obviously better than the one that gives you a fraction of that. So yes, park your money into a high yield savings account. Honestly, you can just go online and look up HYSA or high yield savings accounts, and they'll give you a list of places you can go to. Some popular ones are SoFi. Maybe even look into your bank and see if they offer a high yield savings account. The thing that you want to look for is just the highest interest. Typically, you want to look for like a 3.5% to a 4.2%. Look within that range. And I know that doesn't sound like a crazy amount, like 4.2%. Whoa. If you put $100 there, you're getting like $4. Compare that to a traditional savings account that gives you like 0.2% and you're making pennies. On top of that, when you open this account, make this be an emergency savings account, and the title is self-explanatory. It's for emergencies, so you don't want to touch it. Something medical, something dental, just life things, like you get laid off all of a sudden, like things just happen. You have this extra pool of money to rely on when things get tough. Typically, what you want to aim for is about 3 to 6 months of an emergency savings. However much you spend or however much you need to spend per month, you need to calculate and come up with a number. To include rent, car insurance, average expenses that you typically spend your money on. So that could be the amount of times I usually eat out. Hopefully, if you budget well, you lower that amount. Groceries, fun money, stuff like that. And if 3 to 6 months is a bit hard for you to get to at the moment, just aim for 1 month. Just aim for 1,000 saved. That's a huge difference and just honestly gives you so much more room to breathe. Having 0 in your savings compared to 1,000, compared to 500, it just feels so much better, even if it can't cover you for a whole month. Last thing on finance, get insurance. I'm talking medical, dental, vision. I know it doesn't traditionally fit into the category of what you would think for finances, but it is money that you invest for an amenity that covers a lot of things for your life. I'm speaking from experience looking back at my younger self. you probably don't care too much about your overall health right now. We think we are invincible, like we aren't having health problems anytime soon. We can't see it. We don't believe in the possibility. You never know what can happen. And even then, you have to think about your older self as well. Take it from me, I just had my wisdom teeth taken out, and that was a huge expense that could have been at least halved if I had the proper dental insurance. I'm still kind of mad about it if I think about it too long. But take it from me, I could have saved so much money from this procedure that just sprang into my life out of nowhere. Like literally, I could not have ever planned for wisdom teeth, all four of them, to just come out at this certain time. You never know what can happen. You could be driving, some idiot driver just comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you've got bills. Unless you hit it big or you've got the winning lottery ticket numbers, chances are even the emergency savings might not be enough to cover what you have on the bill. But you know what will help it is having the proper insurance. My stepdad has a quote that he famously uses: it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. This is just a safety net, a really, really important safety net. You may feel invincible, but the truth is, no one is. No one is. Please, I implore you to look into that just to cover yourself. It's even better if your job supplies insurance as one of its benefits. If you're looking to get full-time, or you recently got into a full-time position with your job, see what their medical, dental, and vision insurance is like. Just look into it and learn as much as you can about this. This is probably a really boring subject to try to learn, and trust me, when I'm reading the packet of benefits that they mail to me, I'm glossing over like half the damn thing. Trust me, I'm there with you. But still, look into getting insurance. The next category we'll be discussing is health. Stay active. Do it as much as you can. The older you get, the more your body begins to decline. Literally, our bones shrink and it looks like we lost an inch or two in our height, and honestly in our stance and just how we carry ourselves. We become aged. We literally shrivel. Staying active fights against that. Helps us to keep our shoulders straight, to be able to walk without assistance, to be able to jump. Can you believe how many adults, how many older people don't know how to jump? If you don't believe me, ask your mom or your dad. Ask them to jump, please, and you'll see. I asked my mom and she couldn't do it. You don't want to be like that. You want to be able to have all of your mobility. You want to be able to have all the human capabilities that humans should have. We should be able to jump, we should be able to run, we should be able to pick up heavy things, to bend our backs, to use our legs. We should be able to do all of that as long as possible. If you're not staying active, our bodies become sedimentary. We begin to get used to not being active. And it's honestly not that hard. You don't have to do it so excessively or so intensely as what you would think you need to. You can start with doing a 30-minute walk every day. Not even 30 minutes, you can do 15 minutes every day. Just walk around your neighborhood. Walk around your house, walk around the place that you live. Make an excuse to walk. Instead of driving, if it's a short distance, walk. Doing this once a day is huge. And then you can add other things on top of that. If you have a gym membership, you can go at least 3 times a week. You don't need to go 6 days out of the week. You don't need a crazy and super involved routine to go to the gym. That's like working your body overtime. And honestly, the average person doesn't have the open availability to go to the gym 6 days a week. That's insane. Start with at least 3, build it up to maybe even 4. Whatever is comfortable with you, whatever fits with you. Even if you don't have a gym membership and you just want to do calisthenics, or you want to be at home and do like an at-home gym session, or you want to jump rope, you want to run, you want to do other activities, play sports, do that like 3 times a week. The point is, stay active. You don't have to make it boring. You can add things here and there. But at the same time, you also don't have to make it too excessive, too much of a overbearing thing. Stick with what's comfortable with you, but just challenging enough to see you progress. Make it something that you'll like so that you'll stay with it and you'll make it stick with you. Staying active is only a small part for what you need to do for your health. The next thing is learn your nutrition. I mean, learn the terms, learn some of the science. You don't have to be a biologist, a nutritionist, but learn as much as you can. At least learn the general knowledge. Learn what protein is, what fiber is, the difference between healthy fats and saturated fats. Learn how much your body needs of this on a daily basis. Learn what you're missing and what you already have. Learning nutrition is like knowing yourself more. Once you start understanding these concepts and the terms and definitions, you start looking at labels at the grocery store, you'll start understanding what it is that you really need to cut out. You'll start realizing that there's sugar everywhere, so you'll want to cut that down. You'll begin to understand the drawbacks of the common foods we see all the time, every day. And you'll begin to question, why are they so easily accessible? Why isn't there any other healthy options that are just as easy to grab? When you learn nutrition and you begin to practice it religiously, your body will thank you so much for it. You'll feel so much sharper, you'll feel so much more energized to do things. Sure, staying active can help you understand the motion of things, but learning nutrition is the fuel. This is what will allow us to be able to jump when our future kids ask us to jump. We're doing that to our parents, and I'm telling you, they're going to do that to us. With that being said, we're going to category 3, which is mindset. Now, all of this has been subjective to what I believe is important, but I'm going to say that this category, along with the next category, which is habits, are arguably even more subjective. When it comes to mindset and habits, there's so many healthy decisions that you can make in these categories. So take that with a grain of salt, but these are the ones that have impacted me the most. Starting with abandoned victim mentality. I've started to notice fairly recently that a lot of people in my age range tend to use this mentality a lot to excuse themselves from getting to the places that they want to go to. I know the apparent truths that are happening in our society today. Housing is terrible, wages is terrible, education system is terrible, wealth gap inequality is larger than ever before. Discrimination in certain neighborhoods and ethnicities that have origins from decades ago, generations ago. These things are true. What I am saying about abandoning victim mentality is, although that this is true, living in a mentality like this where everything is built against you and the chances of you winning are slim, it stunts your growth. It gives you a viewpoint that is attributed to everything in the world. When you believe everything is against you, then there's no way out. There's nothing that can help you win. Look at it like this. Two people go into the same competition. One is aiming to win against all odds, and one is facing all odds but believes that they will lose. Who do you think is going to come up off top? Both of them understand that they are facing odds that are stacked against them, but one is choosing to face these odds with determination and ambition to win, and the other is accepting that these odds will win already. I don't know everybody's lives. I can't denounce them from their own experiences. Even if everything is against you, you can't be against yourself. Living this mentality, you've arguably become the biggest source of your own setback. You cannot win if you're telling yourself you've lost already. This is even worse for people who haven't even tried to forge their way out yet. I see that in a lot of people my age. I know it's going to be really hard for me to get a house based on how things are going. I know it's also going to be hard for me to attain generational wealth for my kids and their kids, but I'm not going to say that I'm never going to get it. If I was to ever admit that, that would slow down so much progress for me building up to get to those goals. I used to live in a victim mentality. I used to say that I'll never get out of debt. I'll never make a significant amount of money. I used to say it all. I used to stunt myself so much without realizing. When I abandoned that mentality, I started to believe in myself despite all things. So I'm not discrediting victim mentality. I'm really saying to stop thinking that you've lost already. Instead, start thinking that you're going to win despite it all. That got deep. That one hits close to home. I'm passionate about that one. I really want you guys to flourish. So get on top of that one and start realizing the importance of having yourself in your own corner. Next one. Love shamelessly. This goes to your family, your friends, your significant other, strangers even. Don't be afraid to love. Be vulnerable. That's the best way to love. When you love with an ultimatum or an ulterior motive, you're not loving earnestly. You're loving so you can get something out of it. I'm saying to love without expecting anything back. When you love like this, you appreciate it so much more. It stops being materialistic and becomes something purely emotional, something purely like human. I feel like this mindset is slowly becoming a thing of the past, especially with people in my generation and beyond. I think we were taught, or we're in the process of learning, everyone's got to be independent and everyone has to have their defenses up because it's a cold world out here. You gotta hustle for love. Love doesn't come with sacrifice. You know, if you're sacrificing for someone else, then you're being taken advantage of. Obviously, have your boundaries and obviously love the right person. But stepping into any relationship, just having the walls up already and your fangs out, it just reinforces us to have our hearts be hardened. And in turn, that kind of pushes people away. There's not enough time in our lives to love with a cost. Love freely. And you'll find that it's so much easier to live like that, even if you get hurt. It's better to be hurt than to never have been hurt at all. Because if you were hurt, I think you truly did experience that love, even if it wasn't the best for you. If you aren't hurt, did you even love at all? Or maybe you loved partially, but did you love fully? That's what I'm advising. Love fully and shamelessly. Last one for this category: appreciate and spend time with your parents. Some of you probably don't have the best relationship with your parents, or some of you may just be distant with your parents. This may be hard for you. What I'm saying is that as you get older, as we get older, we don't realize that our parents get older as well. When we leave the house and we get our own place, we move in with our significant other, or we just have roommates and just start living life, we kind of put them in the back burner. And that's natural because we're living our own life now. They specifically taught us how to do that so we can be out in the world. So of course, now we're focusing on ourselves. But then next thing you know, you see them again for Christmas, or you see them again for their birthday. You're only seeing them 3 to 4 times a year. As the years go by, you start noticing that they're getting wrinkles, and that their hair is beginning to get more gray. And as life takes over for you and you begin to live more of it, you begin to realize that their life is coming to an end. And then you start understanding that the 3 to 4 times you see them per year isn't enough time, and you wish that you just spent more time with them. You wish that you asked them more questions. You wish that you knew more about their past and that you understood the decisions that they made while they were raising you or while they were growing up. For the people that don't have the best relationship with their parents, something bad happened between you guys. You haven't come to terms with each other or haven't made up. Whether it's your fault, their fault, or both of your faults, try to forgive. Learn to forgive them. Even if you forgive them and they're not in the same maturity level to forgive you back, at least you moved on from that. At least you have closure from that with yourself. You were the bigger person and you stepped forward to get this situated and handled. That leaves an impact, both to you and them. You feel better at the end, and you may have not known at the time, but that action you took may have slowly tilted their world just a little bit, and maybe they'll see things in a different light one day. My point being is to not have regrets, whether you're in good terms or bad terms with your parents, or you're just neutral and you just need to spend more time. Bridge the distance, close the distance between you. Learn to forgive them, learn to appreciate them, ask them as many questions as you can while they're still here, and spend time with them. That way, at the end of all things, you can at least say that you did that. And to the last category, we'll be talking about habits. And this one will be quick. I don't need to speak too in depth about this one. So I'll just blitz through it and give you my 2 cents for each one. 1, start sooner than later. I believe this habit can knock out multiple birds with one stone. If you're suffering from procrastination, or you're suffering from perfecting things, or you have the fear of failure, if you start now, you're basically saying screw it to all 3 of those things. You may not get over that fear entirely, but you're beginning to develop that. You're beginning to get over that fear. If you start sooner than later, you begin developing your craft. You begin putting the reps in. On top of that, you're planting the seeds earlier to reap the benefits sooner. Here's a really good quote that I like to remind myself if I'm taking too long to jump on something that I need to get started. If you know that it takes 100 failures for you to get good at something you want to get good at, would you start sooner or would you start later? And I'll leave it at that. 2, laugh at yourself, aka don't take yourself too seriously. I see so many people my age that take themselves way too seriously. Like, they are no fun to be around. They always gotta have aura or some mysticism going on with them. I'm like, bro, you're at the same party as I am. Why go to the club if you're not gonna dance? Allow yourself to laugh. Allow yourself to have any other emotion besides having a straight face. Overall, what I mean from this is when you try something and you're not good at it at first, or you fail, that's the best type of recovery. Laughing at yourself. Forgetting all the other people, when you laugh at yourself, you're telling yourself that the situation isn't the end of the world. If you fall over and then you laugh, You're telling yourself, I probably look like a fool in front of all these people, but let's get up and let's do it again. You're giving yourself a chance and you're giving yourself more room to try again. Lastly, surround yourself with who you want to be. I'm not saying this in a superficial way. If you want to be a better person, surround yourself with good people. If you want to be a better artist, surround yourself with good artists. Surround yourself in an environment that will push you and remind you and influence you to be that person that you desire to be. Shaping your environment for your goals is important to reach those goals. They force you to live in that environment and to mold your mindset to be more likened to that goal. In other words, if you want to be influenced, put those influences around you. So to wrap it all up, if you made it this far, those were the 4 categories, aka the 4 pillars to a well-rounded life. You can never go wrong developing these pillars as early as possible. For me, I started some of these before I even reached my 20s. And that was all with the help of people that were well beyond that point, that saw me developing myself and wanted to give me an extra boost and help guide me to things I didn't have the foresight to think of. And with that, I appreciate those people so much, because when I was at that age, I didn't fully appreciate it at the time because I didn't understand what exactly they were going for. Now I step up to be that role for you, person who is possibly going into their 20s wondering what the hell it is that I can give them for advice. If you made it this far, I want to say thank you for watching. I'm only in my mid-20s and I feel like there's so much more for me to learn. Like I said earlier in the video, learning never stops. It's up to you to always want to learn every day. So hopefully beyond this point, you take that upon yourself, that you want to learn every day. You don't have to take all these bits of advice that I gave you and incorporate them into your life starting tomorrow. The purpose of your 20s is that you learn as much as possible and you try so many things, even if you do fail. Honestly, look forward to failing. Be accepting of failure. Start looking at failure as a win-win. When you try things and it's going well, you win. And when you try things and they fail, you win because you've tried it, and the data that you've gathered, the experiences that you've gathered, just helps you mold and understand what it is you truly need for the ideal future you. So to wrap things all up, live as much as you can, try as much as you can. It has been oso.human. I appreciate you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please interact in any way. Like, leave a comment, tell us any advice that you want to give to other people watching. Anything helps. And if you found this video interesting, then make sure to watch this video right here that future editing me will for sure add right now. I wish you the best in your journey, in your development. Make your future self proud. Bye.